women are emotional. Women do act on impulse more than men.
But also, and I have to say this caveat because this is true. That's your beauty.
But I don't see it. I mean, if a guy tells me you're emotional, I'm like, yeah,
exactly,
correct.
That's the
like,
superpower.
Why would that offend me? It's absolutely true.
That's the superpower, and this is the thing that's so misunderstood. When I say these things, they think I want women to act like men. No, I don't.
But I think we have our own powers in our own way. I mean, I think there's a lot of, I know how to hold my household together. I know how to take care of my husband.
Women are super powerful. And if you don't believe it, look at what we've done on behalf of women to society in the past 60 years, simply because women said they wanted it. We didn't have any proof if any of this stuff would work. We just did it because women said that they wanted it. So women are extremely powerful because they have control over an apex predator, and that's men. The only caveat to their power is if they want men to serve them, they have to be women that are worthy of being served. So women that are nice to men, they have a certain level of respect for men, for women that are virtuous. But when young men are looking into the world today, they're seeing women that are saying that they would rather be in the woods with the bear than a man. They're seeing women that are promoting abortion at crazy levels. They're seeing women that are praising other women for being hoes. And those young men are going to start to decide, we don't want to do things for these types of women. Why should we go die and be willing to serve these types of women who are not virtuous? And you're seeing this happening now. When you look at the statistics about 8th to 10th grade boys and their opinions on equality, they're starting to go, we don't care. This is a graph that shows the opinions about equality by 8th grade and 10th grade boys. Let me read this to you. In 2018, 84% of 8th and 10th grade boys agreed that women should have the same job opportunities as men, but in the last 5 years, that number has dropped to 72%. The proportion of boys who completely agreed as opposed to mostly agreed saw an even steeper drop from 63% to 45%. The share who agreed completely fell from 72% to 57%. And so when these young men that have these opinions start to get into power, they're going to say, oh, you want the right to vote as a woman? Nah, because why should we be willing to go die for policies that you put into place, especially when you show and you're demonstrating that you don't care about us? You want abortions? Nah. You want divorce laws? Nah. And once young men start to do that, there's nothing that women can do to stop them. And whether you think that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. If that's what they decide, that's what it's going to be. So yeah, that's the power that women have. They have access through their femininity. They have access to having the ability to control men to do things on their behalf. But they have to be a woman that's worth doing things for. And when men as a whole in society decide that the women that they have in that society aren't worth doing things for, they're just going to go, we don't care. The issue with feminism is that it tells women that they're more powerful when they become an adversary to the most powerful force on the planet, the apex predator, and that's men. But really, femininity gets its power from its unison with masculinity. It's probably not a good idea to demonize the only force on the planet that protects you from the harshness of reality, and that's men.
I mean, I know how to hold my household together. I know how to take care of my husband. I know how to get shit done in my house.
100%.
I do all of those things very comfortably, better than my husband, but because I'm a woman, and I will take pride in that.
Right.
But I don't want to step into his terrain of the things that he's good at as a man and try to take custody of that as well.
And I guarantee you, because of that, he would literally lay down his life for her because she's kind, she's nice, and she's a woman worth serving.
You've nailed it. This is exactly right.
Yep,
We're very separate.
exactly.
We have different power structures, different capabilities. Women can do some things better than men. Men can do some things better than women. The problem with Western society as a whole is that those jobs have been inversed. So I'm not saying I want all women to think and act like men. Women are just as powerful as men. We just have very different, distinct roles.
Yeah.
You can't argue that a boat is more important than a plane. It depends.
Right.
Well, you don't want a plane on the ocean, and you don't want a boat in the sky. So we do very different things.
But I think a lot of women are comfortable with all of that in my position when they have their shit together. This is my opinion. Because I have purpose, because I have drive, because I want to grow and build things in this world, and I'm very comfortable to be very soft in my feminine energy. I'm always cooking for my husband. I don't even let him order without coming to me first because I want to take care of him. I want him to be, happy when he's with the boys playing cards. I'm always serving everybody. I love doing that, gladly. And the boys are always like, oh my God, Tracy's always like all over her husband. I love it. And I think it's because I've worked on myself a lot and I know my purpose in life. Now, it doesn't say that women that choose not to do what I'm doing and just want to stay at home cannot feel the same way. But I feel a lot of the people that have this modern feminist mentality are speaking from a place of insecurity because they're lost. They don't have control over their lives. They don't have control over their finances.
Exactly. They're speaking from a place of resentment, and they want to blame their failure on the patriarchy or men as a whole. So yeah, it's just a way to blame your negative character flaws on something outside of yourself. Because again, you're a 10. You shouldn't have to work on yourself. You don't have anything to work on. Nothing bad ever happens to you because of your own decisions. It's all because of the patriarchy or men. Any way to blame men for their negative circumstances, whether that be in dating, whether that be in the workforce, whether that be in single motherhood, whatever circumstances it may be that are negative, is because of the patriarchy, and none of it has to do with you. And the reason why so many young women fall victim to it is because it's easier to blame something outside of yourself than it is to look at yourself, reflect, be accountable, and make some changes in your life. That's what it's all about. It's about resentment.
Haven't met a guy that could help them out, or have a leader in the family, and they don't know how to take care of themselves when they're single. So they go for the easy way to make cash, the ways that are probably not, I mean, the OnlyFans, for example. I mean, most feminists that are screaming at the top of their lungs are making money in the West on OnlyFans, and they call that feminism.
And just like everything else in the feminist playbook, even the women that do OnlyFans, they're not doing OnlyFans because they love money, attention, and they just like sleeping with random people. They're doing OnlyFans because they had some childhood trauma or some big bad man convinced them to. And then all of these women, they do OnlyFans, they become multimillionaires, they say that they regret it, then they start doing podcasts and interviews, then they become religious, and then ultimately they become an activist against porn. The porn to activist pipeline has to be studied. It only took about 5 years for these types of women to turn into Martin Luther King.
That freedom and an empowerment.
Well, I understand it. And the world is a very difficult place for young men, and it's a very confusing place for young women.
Yes.
For young men, it's difficult because when I was 16, 17, I mean, Dubai didn't exist, but I didn't know where Monaco was. I didn't see Instagram reels of Monaco. I'd never seen a Lamborghini in my life. The women I was talking to in school had never seen one either. Like if you're an 18, 19-year-old kid today, the girl in your college who you like, who's 18, 19, she has millionaires blowing up her phone, trying to fly her all around the world. You're just a Joe average brokey. So it's very difficult to be a young man. I don't think it's confusing. Young men know what they need. They need power and status and influence and money. And they're being constantly exposed to this whole world that they want to get access to that I was fortunate enough to not see. But that's why it's difficult to be a young man.
Right.
To be a young woman, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I'd actually say it's easy, but confusing.
Right.
Because they have all these options now. They're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever. They can be born in the middle of nowhere. They can be in Transnistria, a breakaway micronation. It doesn't matter. If they're hot and they have Instagram, they're getting invites. So as long as they can go cry at the passport office, they now get access to the highest tier of life that exists on the planet. If you're a man and you want to get on a boat, you have to work. If you're a woman, you want to get
for that boat.
You have to buy a boat. If you're a woman and want to get on a boat, you need an Instagram picture. So life can be easy for women materially at the cost of their soul, and it's very, very confusing for a woman because what do you do as an 18?
It is confusing, and it doesn't help that we lie to them any chance that we get to appeal to them. That's not good.
Or 19-year-old girl. Society used to have an easy laid out path for people. A woman would meet a man. They'd fall in love to some degree. They would have children. They would be married. She would become a mother. By the time she's 22, 23, that was what women did. And then for whatever reason, feminism came along and women decided that the patriarchy is terrible and they didn't want to listen to their husbands and they wanted to be set free to make their own decisions, for better or for worse.
Well, it's because they were indoctrinated into that. They looked at the successful men and they said, look at how these men live. They didn't see the men that were working in the factories, the guys that have back problems because they've been doing the hard labor jobs to provide for their families. They didn't see those guys. They were propagated into believing, look at these men, look at how they live. If it weren't for the patriarchy making you a mother, then you could potentially live this same life. As soon as I hear a woman say career, I know that she's probably indoctrinated because most men don't have careers. Most men have jobs that they're not passionate about, by the way. They just do them out of necessity to take care of the people that they love. And this whole idea about doing something that you're passionate about, how are you not passionate about family? That's where most people's passion lies. Elon Musk, and I'm not trying to make this political, but people like Elon Musk, great innovators, yes, they need to have a job that they're passionate about. Most people aren't those people. Most people aren't going to contribute anything to society. Like me. I talk shit for a living. I'm not going to change society like an Elon Musk is. Elon Musk people need passion. I'm just trying to work a job to provide money and food for my family. Luckily, this is something that I actually like to do, so it does help. But most people aren't going to have a job that they're passionate about, and most people don't need a job that they're passionate about because they're not passionate about anything other than family. So women were sold this dream that they were missing out on something. They looked at the top at the men who actually have things and that run things, and they thought to themselves, if only I didn't have to be in a family or have a family, I could be that man. And what do you see? A bunch of women becoming wage slaves. Now they just work at Burger King or they're at the DMV trying to take 20 minutes to give me my damn ID. Get me my ID. And the truth of the matter about it all is, even if a woman is capable of buying things herself, she's not really happy unless she has a man that can buy things for her, because women love and they see value in having the ability to get men to do things for them. And if you have a good woman, that's a good thing. But I'm just saying, even women who can afford to buy things for themselves want a man to buy those things for them. This is the reason why even wealthy women will say, I want a man that makes equal to or more than me. So even if having the opportunity to do it yourself, it doesn't really make you as happy as having a man that could potentially do it for you. Women were pushed into the workforce because capitalists wanted cheap labor, they wanted to stagnate wages, and the government wanted to double the tax base. And it's been an absolute failure. The birth rate has plummeted, and sure, GDP has went up by 350% since 1970, but our national debt has risen by 3,900% since 1970. So who's actually winning from this?
We gave it to them, and now they've been set free. So what do 18 and 19 and 20 and 21-year-olds do now? They run around talking to dudes on Instagram, trying to get Birkin bags and Instagram likes. And they can only do that by hyper promoting their sexuality, as you just described, so they can get as much attention as possible, because the laws of power, 48 laws of power, as you described, you have to try and garner attention, whether it's negative or positive. I'm one of the most Googled men in the world, and I said Lily Phillips' name. Why? Because you go. That's the bottom line of it.
Crazy.
It's true.
Crazy.
So women are just using their sexuality now to try and get as much attention as possible. They're being thrown out into a dating market with the most desirable men on the planet. They end up having to share a man who can get any girl he wants, because they only want a man of a certain status, and all women want him. So there's 1,000 women per one man. They're running from dude to dude, relationship to relationship, getting their heart broken over and over and over again, until they eventually realize they have to settle down to some degree. Then they end up upset that they can't settle down with the kind of guy they were with 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. They get into some resentful relationship to eventually have children or offspring or whatever it is. Like, everything is completely broken.
Then we have it set up so that in 10 years she can go, he doesn't make me happy anymore. She can appeal to the state, use the state as her enforcement arm to take half of everything this man owns, even if he didn't do anything wrong.
Said, we didn't want to listen to men anymore. We don't want to the patriarchy. We don't want to have to obey our husbands. What's interesting as a thought experiment, and I don't know, women will have to answer this, but if I were to analyze it logically, I would say, every time I see a woman complaining that men aren't loyal, let's say, for example, I say, you did this. Men were loyal when they had to be. A man met a woman, you were in high school, we had to get married to have kids because society expected us to get married to you, so we had to, and we had to take care of you. You're complaining that you need help. We had to give you a house.
Right.
We had to work.
Right.
We had to raise the kids. We had to be loyal to you. We had to be home every day. We had to take you to church on Sundays. We had to. Then you said you don't like listening to us because we expected you to cook dinner. You didn't want to cook dinner and you want liberation. So now what are you doing? Now you're running around chasing men who have all of the options on the planet. And you're wondering why he's not loyal to you. Well, you want him to sit down with only you. How many beautiful women in the world are blowing up his phone? He's the guy with the yacht. There's lots of space on the boat.
You know how I see it, though? So tell me what you think about this. You get married. I know you're not married, but let's say you do get married. And I don't know the type of woman that you would marry, but assuming she's the kind of woman that is intelligent, she works, she has her own ambitions, but she's obviously available to take care of you and the house and everything, right? Do you ever feel, firstly, that you can be, I mean, does a woman inspire you ever? Does your wife help push you? I mean, again, it's subjective and it's different because you're in a place where you've already made it, right? But assume you're in this situation for other men out there. Is it normal for you that your woman inspires you to be better, that you would always bounce ideas off of her, build with her, grow with her? Or do you not believe that that's the woman's job in your life?
I'll say this, it's not even necessarily the direct motivation, because that can happen too. A woman definitely can directly motivate you, but her presence in and of itself makes you look at things differently. Her presence makes you want to do things more securely. So like now I have a daughter. I'm talking about wills. I'm doing life insurance policies and all these different things I would have probably never done because I'm a guy, and guys don't even think that way until you have people that you have to be responsible for. Men will choose freedom over responsibility until they have people in their lives that they love, that they need to be responsible for. I've never seen a dude who got less responsible after having a family. I've seen dudes that weren't responsible before having a family and never became more responsible. I've seen that before, but I've never seen a dude who was responsible and then became less responsible when he got a family. And I have seen a lot of guys who weren't responsible and then became more responsible because now they have a family. But now that the family courts and the divorce courts are so biased towards women, you're not even seeing as many men pursue family. And then everybody wonders why young men aren't going into the workforce and doing hard labor jobs anymore, why young men aren't going to college as much, why young men aren't getting mortgages, is because what would they do that for? And there are some men that are not fueled by family, they're more fueled by passion or the pursuit of status or money or whatever it may be. But when a man is choosing the job of a carpenter or like a construction worker or a plumber, that's a man that's trying to put food on the table for a family. That's not a man inspired by his passion for plumbing. So yeah, having the responsibility of a woman and a family can change how you look at things and do things as a man. It's like an indirect motivation.
I think a woman would inspire me to be better so that I could provide for her and protect for her better. I think that me personally, I get all of my happiness via proxy. So my woman inspires me to be better because I can make her happier. And I'm only happy if she is happy. I'm only happy if my children are happy. I'm only happy if everyone around me is happy. I don't get happy by myself. I exist via proxy happiness. So I think to a degree she would inspire me. Yes, that's true. And I'm not saying that people don't get married anymore. I'm not saying any of these things. What I'm saying is that women in their years where they would have had a very clear purpose, where they're at the height of their reproductive years, for example, they're at the height of their hormones. Their clear purpose would be love my husband, have children.
Right.
And now they don't have that. They just have social media, distractions, endless offers, money, gold digging, OnlyFans, dating left, right, and center, Taylor Swift, bullshit on the news, all of these hormones inside of them. They're told they're a boss, but they also don't want to work, but they also should work, but they also should have all this money just because they exist. And then they know this other girl who has all this money because she's dating 6 or 7 different men, and they're just running around sleeping with everybody. And my question is that better for society than a woman meeting a man, falling in love, and getting married?
No.
Definitely not.
So everything's a mess.
But it also doesn't work for society I mean, again, I think both are to blame because the
Let's hear the men's fault. Let me hear the men's side.
I don't think it's the men's fault. I actually think it's both of their faults because you're kind of you're creating the society amongst each other. So at least in my day, I mean, it would never happen ever. If somebody calls me and says, "Hey, do you want to come on this boat?" I'm like, "Sure." Like there's no matter what the boat is, no matter where it is not possible because my values will never allow for any guy of any status to think that just because you're going to offer me so-and-so present or offer me so-and-so trip that I am going to go all the way there for you. No way in hell. Yep. Like this is my principles. And I think there's a lot of women, at least in this part of the world, that think like me. But also, there's many and many and many that don't. It is such a common thing around in some groups of women to talk about them being invited by men and men buying them stuff. I don't have that with any of my girlfriends. None of my girls are the kinds of girls that will ever take a present from a guy for no reason. It would never happen. And we all have amazing husbands, great hardworking men that are trying their best and that are building and growing. And we build too, and we grow too, and we're happy.
Well, see, the big problem here is that because a lot of women are trying to appeal to the hive mind of other women, women sound all the same, so the men don't know who the hoes are no more. If you're a virtuous woman, you shouldn't be promoting abortion because your virtues wouldn't allow for you to even need an abortion as a necessity. If you're a virtuous woman, you shouldn't be applauding hoes. So the problem is, sure, they might not do those things, but if they dress the same way and they think the same things, men can't tell the difference between the virtuous women and the ones who aren't. So yeah, I agree with her. It's reflected in my life. I do see a lot of women who are good women, but because they believe all the same things, and I don't even know if they actually believe these things, but at least because they're trying to appeal to the hive mind of other women, and so they're just saying these things so they're not outcasted by other women, whatever it may be, men can't tell the difference.
what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is it because the men are like, here you go, and the women feel empowered? They're like, yeah, so I mean, I'm empowered. I can take what they're offering and do what I want to do. Or is it the other way
that
around?
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm going to answer that question.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer it because I would argue that when society functioned the way it previously did, where there was a man and a woman and a husband and a wife and a family and a small home and children in it, I would argue that men didn't want to give up having a wife and having kids that they take care of and going to work, because most men still want that now. Right. Women wanted to give up having a responsibility and a duty to men.
Right.
Men still want that. Ask the average man, what do you want? I want a woman. I want some children. I want her to listen to me. I want her to be loyal. I don't want her to be a hoe. I don't want her to talk to anyone else. Men still want the same thing. Women have changed. Most women, of course, exceptions exist. Most women don't want to obey a man anymore. So women changed the game, and women said, we don't want to obey anymore. We're going to change the way society functions. Because they thought
he's right
it would be fun.
He's right.
And they thought that they would have this liberation and girl power and all of this garbage. So now we're in a situation where we described how the girls act. Let's describe how the men act, because there's two categories of men. The men who can get girls and the men who can't. Well, the men who can't get girls, they just sit online all day and have checked out of society.
Right.
They play video games and trade crypto and smoke weed. Now, the system by and large has no problem with them, because although the population is collapsing, although there's a population collapse, they're just importing people from other parts of the country and destroying cultures in real time to keep the populations up. The reason they have a no problem with the people who don't reproduce and have a wife and have kids and have family is because it's very difficult for a man to stand up and protect a society if he has no vested interest in the society. He can just leave or check out, right? If a society is collapsing all around him, but he has a wife and kids, he's going to want to stand up and protect his home and house. If he just sits in his bedroom playing video games and society is collapsing, he makes memes and thinks it's funny. So he has no problem with that. And then you have the men who can get laid. And the men who can get laid have worked very hard to put themselves in this position. They've worked very, very hard to finally achieve the status and the wealth and the capability to be attractive to women in a hyper-competitive dating market. They're spoiled for choice. All of the beautiful women in the world, to some degree, want a man which is semi-like them. And men who manage to get to this level of life naturally optimize their minds for competitiveness and for competence. So if you find a 23, 24-year-old man who managed to make millions and millions of dollars because he naturally optimizes for competence, then he's in good shape and he's very logical about things. And he's out there in the world and he can get all these different girls and he sees how all of these girls act and he sees very few of them have any values. What's he going to do besides just tear through a bunch of them?
Exactly.
Which is what he's going to do.
Yep. And that's one of the issues that I've seen with promiscuous men is they have trust issues because they've been the guy that the woman has been promiscuous with. No man wants to be the sucker that's at the party with the woman that slept with everybody. And because they're the man that slept with all the women, they know that there are a lot of these women out there. So they lose a sense of trust for women because they've been the guy that the girl is called at the middle of the night, or they've been the guy that the girl has cheated on her boyfriend with, or they've been the guy that women have said they're willing to do anything for, even throw away some of their values and behave in a certain way. And so not only is it the fact that you have divorce court, where if you have a bunch of money or you're a super competent man, half of your things could be taken away from by you from a woman just because she says she's unhappy. But also you have the factor of them not wanting to commit because they see what is actually out there and they get a different perspective of female nature that men who don't have access to women don't get. Tate cooking, he's spot on this.
And then you're right. Then it is the man and the woman. And it all gets worse.
Like you said, it's not necessary that women are like that. So in a position where a man thinks this way and he has earned his right for a proper woman and he marries a woman or dates a woman or whatever, do you believe that it's well within his right to still have options?
Well,
don't be shy.
I'm not going to be shy.
Truly, like, I'm curious. I mean, everybody has.
I think, okay, so biologically, you have to, when I look at all subjects, you have to analyze them societally, you have to analyze them morally, you have to analyze them biologically, right? So if a man is married, should he sleep with other women? Well, morally, no. Biologically, men don't get pregnant. And men have been programmed to get as many women pregnant as possible.
Why as many women? Why not his wife?
Well, because women, unfortunately, are slow and they take a long time to grow babies. If you'd speed up, maybe we wouldn't have this problem.
But I think that's a
personal
choice of yours that you want that many children. So many men just want 3.
Of course. But I'm talking biologically. When I say biologically, I'm talking about us as animals, as organisms.
Yeah.
As animals, as organisms, men to procreate, for humans to exist, considering so many men died at war or hunting lions, men died at a much higher rate than women. There were more women than men. My job as a man is to get as many women pregnant as possible, biologically. Morally, that may be wrong, but biologically, it is my incentive to do that. The female incentive is actually different because when a woman is pregnant, she needs a man to stick by her or she's going to die. She needs protection, provision. The female incentive, biologically, is to be loyal, to get one man, to know who the dad is so that he won't leave and to stick by him and for him to take care of me. Whereas the male has a different biological incentive. Get her pregnant, get her pregnant, get her pregnant, get her pregnant. That is why if a woman cheats on a man, it's so much worse than if a man cheats on a woman.
I can actually respect the fact that he differentiated between morally and biologically. Oftentimes, what we should do morally is different than what our drives are biologically. But I'm just not sure, because there are some countries, of course, and throughout history, there have been some great fucking leaders that have been outliers that have done that, but also 50% of the world practices monogamy too. So the fact that it's such a high practice and it's been around for forever also, you couldn't really make the argument that one is necessarily more natural than the other. I do think that is also in our nature as humans, because we are social creatures, to have high investment into our kids. And to have high investment into your kids, it's probably better and seen as better and probably just is better to have one woman and one family, one lineage. So I'm just not sure on this argument. I've never been convinced either way. I do see the biological aspects of men having a high sex drive and having, wanting to have a lot of women, and even guys who are married watch porn and all these different things. I get that biological aspect. But there is another aspect where we are also social beings. So what is also good for us is to be very invested into our kids' lives to get the best outcomes for our kids. And because majority of the world practices monogamy, it has to be somewhere linked to what is natural for humans to do also. So when it comes to the whole men or humans are naturally polygamous argument, I never ever been able to pick a side because I see it both ways a little bit.
Cheats on a man, paternity in and of itself.
Yeah.
Is
well,
at
yeah,
risk.
that's, yeah.
A man can sit there. If a woman cheats on a man, there's an emotional connection required because she trusts this man at some level to protect or provide for her or take care of her. She respects him at some level, like he's strong. There's something there. Whereas a man could cheat with a woman, he doesn't care.
Okay.
He could cheat with a woman that he doesn't even like. That's the thing. Men can literally sleep with women that they don't even like. Men can sleep with women, some men who have a low sexual control, or low sexual discipline, can sleep with women that they actually find repulsive and disgusting just out of necessity for the moment, just to get what they want done. Which I do think is crazy. I think you should have sexual discipline, but that is the truth though.
So you're saying it from a biological perspective, instinctual perspective. The way I see this argument is I don't cheat for respect for my husband.
Yep.
And I would expect, no matter what the biology says, no matter what the instinct says,
understand,
my husband will say, I think I have something going on here that's more important. I don't want to hurt her. Irrespective of how he feels or how he functions as a man, within himself, he's like, but is it worth hurting her? Because her feelings will get hurt whether my biology pushes me to do this or not.
Of course.
Do I want to hurt her feelings? Do I want to do this to her? Not really. Let me try not to do it. It must be more tempting for him than it is for me. But you always talk about controlling your mind.
Real quick, just going back to the whole what's more natural, polygamy or monogamy argument. There are a lot of guys that have kids by multiple baby mamas that tell me that they wish that they had kids by one baby mom. And I see this happen all the time, and that's why I believe in the divine order. Like, it's supposed to be God, man, woman, children. Usually when I see that structure, that's when I see it work the best. Through that order, the mother is the link between the father and the kids. When that link between the mom and the dad is broken, when the mom and the dad don't get along, that's why I think if you have a child with somebody, y'all should always at least try to get along with each other. Because once that link is broken and the woman starts to resent the man, and then she's taking care of a baby that resembles the man that she resents, even if she isn't trying to train or coach the kid to resent the father, which sometimes I believe that they do, even if they're not doing it on purpose, just their resentment towards the dad rubs off on the kids sometimes. And so in polygamous relationships, it seems like that link is more likely to be broken, because even if you're a kid, jealousy is a part of nature. It's a natural thing. And if you feel like your dad is taking care of the other mom and they kids more than you, even if it's not true, it's just you feeling that way, that can cause resentment between the kids, that can then transfer to the fathers, that can go between the moms. It just seems like that's more likely to happen in a polygamous situation because even something like jealousy is natural. So when you're having the conversation, which is more natural, polygamy or monogamy, I always have a hard time with it because it's so multifaceted.
Discipline, working hard.
100%.
Why is the exception when it comes to this?
I'm not saying there is an exception.
And men can't control that, but you have to control every other difficult thing in your life.
Completely understand. So morally, I said no. Biologically, I'm explaining why men are always going to be more tempted to cheat than women. That's what I'm trying to explain. Okay. A woman isn't even tempted to cheat unless she's broken. The only kind of woman who's tempted to cheat is a woman who's been slept with too many men anyway and her mind is broken. Women, by and large, their natural inclination is to be loyal.
Correct.
And a man, his natural inclination is not to be loyal.
Correct.
And I'm only saying this before I answer your question so we understand that when we talk about loyalty and monogamy, we are talking about women saying, you should want to do what I naturally want to do. And a man doesn't naturally want to do it. It's like a woman. It's like a woman saying to a man, you should want to put on makeup. And we're like, well, no, I could, but I don't really want to.
Right.
Society might tell me I should, but I don't want to. You want to do this. So women and men are fighting a different battle here because women want to be loyal anyway. So we have the moral aspect, we have the biological aspect, and then we have the societal aspect. And this is the point I got to at the end. Societally, we were supposed to do exactly as you described. But women broke that contract. Women broke the societal contract when they decided to not listen to men anymore. What man in his right mind would get married in the West?
I feel like the sanctity of marriage is not respected by men or women nowadays.
No,
of course it's
because
not.
of women.
Of course it's not. It's destroyed.
Who's filing for majority of the divorces? Women are filing for 75% of the divorces. The women are the ones that are breaking that up. Who are the ones who think that they should be able to go out and just sleep with random people at will and still get a man that is willing to do things for them? That's mostly women. Like he said before, men are still the same, and we pretty much want the same things that we've wanted forever. Women are the ones who decided that they wanted something different and that they wanted to start to value different things. Instead of valuing families, they value capitalism and going into the workforce. So this is new polling from 13 hours ago. I literally had to edit this in to prove my point. This is these are women that voted for Harris, men that voted for Harris, women that voted for Trump, and men that voted for Trump. Which of the following is important to your personal definition of success? Now read this. Number 1 for women who voted for Harris is having a job or a career you find fulfilling. For the men who voted for Harris, having a job or career you find fulfilling. So people who vote for Harris believe that having a job or career is important in your life. That's how they define success. The number 1 thing they define success. Now for women who voted for Trump, even they said achieving financial independence. So the women on both sides, either Trump or Harris, believe that some type of financial or career-driven fulfillment is important. Now, the men who voted for Trump said having children was the number 1 defining factor of success. The women who voted for Harris as their second thing that defines success said having enough money to do things you want to do. The women who voted for Trump said having a job or career you find fulfilling. So on both sides for the women, it's swapped a little bit, but both of them have to do with money or chasing career. For women who voted for Trump, so women who consider themselves to be conservatives, 6 on the list is having children. 9th on their list of priorities is being married. For women who voted for Harris, so women who are a little bit more liberal, 11 is being married, and 12th is having children. So that literally just proves my point. The new polling says that Gen Z, the women in Gen Z, prioritize their careers and financial, having money as more important than having children. And so by and large, it isn't the men who change, it's the women who change. They don't value family anymore. They value careers. And men don't care about women who value careers because women are the only ones that can have children. Men want women who want children and prioritize family. And so sometimes that's why I wonder what's going to happen in the future, because a replacement level birth rate, meaning you could replace the people that currently exist, is 2.1 kids per family. No society has ever survived dipping below 1.9 children per family.
According to research, in order for a culture to maintain itself for more than 25 years, there must be a fertility rate of 2.11 children per family. With anything less, the culture will decline. Historically, no culture has ever reversed a 1.9 fertility rate. A rate of 1.3, impossible to reverse, because it would take 80 to 100 years to correct itself, and there is no economic model that can sustain a culture during that time. In other words, if two sets of parents each have one child, there are half as many children as parents. If those children have one child, then there are 1/4 as many grandchildren.
In America currently, we are at 1.6 kids per family. And even the future Gen Z women, the only ones who can have kids, are saying that having children is 11th on their definition of success. And I just wonder what's going to happen when young men start saying we're not going to let you genocide our population because you want to chase having margaritas on random beaches and condos. But in the workforce, the issue is women in the workforce who care more about their careers and future success and salaries than they care about family. There have always been women in the workforce. There have always been female teachers, nurses, daycare providers, customer service, entrepreneurs. Women have always been in the workforce. It's just even those women who were in the workforce still valued family more than they valued their jobs. Currently in a situation where we're having so few kids, we're going to start halving our population each generation. And regardless of what I think is right or wrong, what's going to happen when young men start asking each other the question, what do we care more about? Female happiness or the future of our civilization? We have the duty of dying and doing the hard, dangerous jobs to protect and to sustain society. That's our duty because we're the only ones that can do it, because we're physically strong enough. And in exchange for the luxuries, the safety, and the infrastructure that men provide, women have the duty of selecting the right men to continue the population in society because they're the only ones that can do that. Men are still by legislation required to do the thing that they're supposed to do. If we went to war tomorrow, there's still a draft or a selective service that we might be subject to. Women have completely given up and abandoned their duty. They're choosing to actively not participate in it. So women are the ones who have changed.
I look at him like he's a simp. I'm like, you're an idiot. You're a dummy. For what? What are you marrying her for? She's a stripper. You met her in a club in Miami. So what are you doing? Why are you marrying her? This is all women's fault. Women did this. We were perfectly prepared with the societal setup until women said they didn't want to listen to us. They wanted to be sexually liberated. They wanted to run around and sleep with whoever they wanted. They didn't want to listen to their fathers. They didn't want to listen to their husbands. And they want to be out there doing whatever.
Patriarchy.
And then they want to flip and reverse it because they don't want responsibility. The average woman on the street, if you ask her what she wants to do, she says, I want to go to school and I want to go to college and I want to have fun and I want to explore and I want to travel the world and I don't want to listen to a man and I want to go all around the world. I want to go backpacking and I want to go to Dubai and I want to go on a boat. And then when that's all done, maybe when I'm 35, then I want to meet a nice man. Then I want to settle down. When men hear this, we're saying, okay, so you want to run around and sleep with everybody. You want to be a slut.
And then you want
some dude to pick up and pay the bill at the end.
Right. Men are not going to be virtuous for old hoes.
No, I don't want to do that. Any man who's optimized for competence refuses to do that. Now, if I, right now, in a hypothetical, because I don't talk about my personal life very much because I have enough enemies. If I went out there and met a virgin, 23-year-old religious woman who had never been with a man, who's going to obey everything I say and trust me to guide and lead her, would I marry her? Yeah, of course. It's not about being anti-marriage. What I am is anti the choice of wives that exist in the world today. If I'm going to go to Miami and meet a girl and be like, oh, she's my girlfriend now, and people say, so when you getting married, you've been together a while, I'm going to say fucking never because I don't know what she was doing before I met her. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be that guy. And the reason I'm not going to be that guy is because I have been the guy who looks at a girl getting married
it's the
thinking,
same thing.
Bro, if you knew what I knew about
Same
her.
thing. Told you.
I can't be that guy. I'm sorry, I can't. And most men optimized for competence can't. And there's not a single man out here. There's not a single man out here in the modern world of this misandrist, matriarchal world where everything about being a man is demonized. If you're remotely masculine, you're called every name under the sun, who's going to go out there, dedicate himself, work hard, be motivated, struggle to become rich and important and successful and finally make it out the matrix, the 0.001%.
Yeah, they love to hate on masculinity when they can't use it for their own utility. For example, they don't want you to be assertive or have any authority in your relationship, but if a woman is being harmed on the streets or harassed on the streets by a random man, they want you to be assertive then. So women love masculinity, but only when they can use it for their utility.
Pick up some woman who'd been running around doing whatever she wants and just marry her and spoil her so that she can eventually take half his stuff. Men aren't doing that. And it's women's fault.
I see that. I mean, I'm Arab. I know what men feel here and I know what they think. And for a lot of men, when it's a woman, obviously not a girl that dated a couple of guys before she met somebody, but the one that's running around and chasing the money and chasing the boats, no man I know would want to marry a girl like that. Fortunately, this is the reality of things. And I think in a lot of high value women, in a sense, I hate using that word now, but high value women, they also would not want to date the random guy that always has 5 hookers on his table.
Well,
I think it goes both ways.
That may be true. It may be true.
Trust me, I'm speaking for women that I know personally. If it's the kind of guy, it may not be as difficult for, I mean, she may at some point, if he like calms down and shows he's changed, may say, you know what?
Can forget the past.
It's cool that he kind of like, you know, had all these girls around him, maybe. But I think in general, it's a turnoff for a lot of women. To be like, why does he have 50 hookers on his table? Like, I don't want to be seated on that table.
Yeah.
Take it from me. I have so many guy friends, a lot of guys I grew up with, and I've seen them with hookers on the table. I'd be like, when I was single, who's on the table? They'd tell me, I'm like, I'm not coming. There's no way I'm going to be sitting on a table like that. I mean, some women feel this way.
Yep.
You know, so I think it goes both ways.
No, I agree with you there. I think there's some women who wouldn't be happy to be on a table with a bunch of other women. That is true.
Not just women. I'm talking about like, not other women. Of course, I'm happy to sit with other women.
Yeah.
Paid women,
hookers,
women.
I mean, yeah, paid hookers.
People that they call escorts, they could make them travel in to hang out with them. I would not sit on that table. It would never happen.
I understand it. I completely understand it. But it's this world we're now in. Women have tried very hard to make themselves playthings, most women. And then they also they complain or they want the world to change when men do nothing but play with them, is what they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is basically the bottom line of it. And we need to re-incentivize marriage. Mm-hmm. If you were to say, Andrew, fix society, I'd say, okay, well, I understand why marriage is a good basis for society. I understand why it's a good cornerstone. The reason I'm not subscribing to it now is because it's been perverted and destroyed. If you want to restore marriage, then you have to restore the incentives for marriage. Women.
Yeah, and to go back to what he just said, they thought that they were going to reap the benefits of the old world while being hoes. And it turns out it just didn't work, and it's not going to work or ever going to work. And the more men start to realize that these are the types of women that they have access to, the fewer men are going to want to get married. And that's what you're seeing. I just showed statistics earlier about how young men are looking at equality. And it's because they're starting to see these things in the actual world, and they don't like what they're seeing. And once that happens, once men refuse to be benevolent to women, and they refuse to be used by women to give women the things that they want, which can be a good thing if you have virtuous women. And here's the funniest part, and this is the part that young women don't like. The young men get to decide if they want to serve you in the future or not. So you don't get to go, women can be hoes, women can have abortions, women can promote all of these negative things in society while also chasing careers and abandoning family. Or anymore what the young women feel like they should be able to do. If the young men say nah, then it's going to be a nah. And by the way, it should be that way. Men have the duty, not only in society, in the broader society, but also in their relationships, to be very selective and to pick virtuous women that they should serve. Because why should a man be virtuous and sacrifice for a woman that's not virtuous herself?
Have incentives for marriage. Men currently have no incentives. Masculine incentive needs to be restored. And the masculine incentive is for us to have some responsibility and accountability and power for those things.
Authority, though.
Why would I be responsible for a woman? And why am I accountable for all of her mistakes if I can't give her any kind of order or control or what to do? If I'm the captain of a boat, if the boat crashes, I'm the guy who gets in trouble. That's because the whole crew listens to me. If I'm the captain of the boat and I shout orders and the crew ignores me, then how can I be responsible for the boat crashing? So most men now are in relationships. If the woman crashes the car, he has to fix it. He's accountable. He's responsible to pay all the bills and take care of her and make sure that she's safe. If someone breaks into the home, he has to get up and risk his life against armed intruders to ensure she's alive. He has all the accountability and all the responsibility, but he can't tell her anything.
And if she says she's unhappy, she can take half of everything he owns. He has to pay the judge, he has to pay the lawyers, and he has to be accountable in that sense too. So he has all of the accountability or all of the responsibility with no authority. And responsibility with no authority is essentially slavery, in my opinion.
Are you the captain of a boat where everything is your fault, all of the work is yours, but you can't give a single order?
Thing is with you, I mean, you say things and everything you say is literally what any intelligent man that I have been following online, whether they're business coaches, whether they're soft guys that talk about like leading their families, in all realms, there's an agreement and a consensus to what you're saying. Men are most comfortable with themselves when they're leading, and women are most comfortable when their men are leading.
Yep.
But then when you say it or twist it into words like, you need to obey me, all of a sudden it hits a nerve with women, right? I think that's the issue. I don't think you're saying, anything wrong. I
Tone
actually agree
policing.
with almost
Here's the tone policing. I agree with what you say. You just have to say it in the way that I want to hear it.
every ideology that you have. I just think it's the way that it's said that triggers people. So this is exactly how media works. It's a headline. You say sentences with a strong headline that piss people off.
Yep.
And then they don't want to listen to what you mean by it. But every woman out there would say, I actually want a guy to make me feel like I don't
Yeah,
need
but
to.
it doesn't matter what the women think anymore. Like, we're going past that now. Now we're appealing to men, like what guys think is going to be important going into the future, because guys have the in say in whatever happens. So we can't keep doing this in society anymore, where we're appealing and saying things in a certain way that women want to hear it just to appeal to that. I think that even the content creators are starting to shift to a position where now things are being harshly said and people are enjoying it. And they're appealing to more of a male audience. And I think that that's going to be the future from now on. I think this whole tone policing, preschool teacher BS is starting to go out of the window. Because sometimes the truth is harsh, and in pursuit of the truth, you have to be willing to be offended by words sometimes. The men of this generation are not going to forget that we got tone policed into the point where we couldn't call a man and a woman a woman. We were tone policed so hard that the truth became compromised and we couldn't talk about reality.
drive the ship. I want him to drive the
Men are like, we tried that before and women didn't want to listen to us, so now it's like obey, submit. Those are the words that are being used now, because it's like, and if you don't, men won't care. But when you ask for things to happen in society, men won't care. And the next generation, you see that reflected in the statistics.
ship.
Yep.
I want to feel like I could count on him and lean on him.
Yep.
Granted, he gives her love and affection and emotion. He's there for her,
course.
not just pays for the bills of the house
course.
and does whatever he wants,
Of course.
right? So I think we're in agreement, and I'm pretty sure that when this gets out and people are triggered, they're going to have to come back to this episode to say, wait, let me see why he said that. That's the whole point of being curious, to listen to why and what does he mean by that? Because I don't think anything that you said is wrong, actually.
Well, thank you very much. And it's kind of interesting if you look at a history book. All these different cultures and different civilizations which never even met operated the same way. The man was the warrior and the protector and the provider, and the mother and the woman was a mother who was in charge of the home. And this was the synergy between the man and the woman, whether it was the Aztecs, the Chinese, the Mongolians, it doesn't matter where, the whole planet, men and women operated the same way.
Right.
And this is not an idea that could have been spread, because this is cultures that never even met. The Aztecs never met the Chinese. These are very far away.
Yeah.
Why did things operate this way? Because it's the natural order of things. But now we have enough technology in many ways, not
To
just
show you options.
Birth
as
control.
well. Now we can mess with the natural order of anything.
Right.
So now what we're doing is we're messing with the natural order of everything all of the time, and we're trying to psyop everybody at home into believing that destroying the natural order is going to make things better. But of course we don't know, because it's untested, it's untried.
Right.
What's actually funny about everything, I've always found this quite interesting, is that as we disrupt the natural order between men and women, it's actually hilarious how it's still men that have to enforce all the female ideals and all the female power anyway. It's still men who have to end up enforcing it. It's just men who have been cucked by the system to some degree.
Right.
I got in an argument with somebody when the Taliban retook Afghanistan. And the Taliban, I was on Piers Morgan, and he sat me down and he said, what do you think about the Taliban preventing women from going to school? And I said, well, I don't live in Afghanistan. I'm not Afghanistani. I think the Taliban have a very difficult job to try and be the government of a war-torn country like Afghanistan. I'm sure that their decisions are not always perfect, but it's their government and they're a sovereign nation, and we believe in sovereign nations, don't we? So they made their own decision. And he said, well, don't you think that's disgusting? Don't you think that the girls should be allowed to go to school and we should do something about it? And I sat and said, why don't the women do something about it? Why do men have to go die? I thought, no, this is girl empowerment now. Girls going to school, girl power. Girls need education, girls. So if it's all girl power, why do I, as a Western man with nothing to do with Afghanistan, have to strap on a backpack and I have to go die?
Facts.
Turns out there is no girl power without men prepared to die for it. There's never been girl power without a man behind it. There's no such thing as girl empowerment. There's no such thing as a girl boss. There's no such thing as any of these things without a man at some point who's prepared to defend the girl. So it turns out, as we disrupt the natural order,
Right.
and we're living in this matriarchal insanity of the West and all this girl power garbage, behind it all is still a man at some point enforcing it.
Yep.
Which just shows how false it all is. I think a girl boss is a woman who gives her man status, which is what we've talked about, because she's not a whore and she hasn't been all over the place. A woman who gives her man status, inspires her man to take care of her, gives him the things that he can't find out in the world without her, has a happy family with him and a happy home, that's a girl boss to me. A girl boss is not someone running around saying, I hate men, I don't need men.
100%.
And all those women who say, I don't need men are liars, because you do need men. Because the second you get in trouble, you're going to call a man.
Exactly.
Whether he's a police officer, a mechanic, or a fireman, he's a man. He just doesn't have sex with you, but he's still a dude.
100%.
So there is no girl power. It's all made up.
Yeah.
It's all made
You
up.
don't hear men going around saying men power. You know, it's just like, okay.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's like ridiculous, right?
Course.
The only reason we do this is just, I feel like when you have the insecurity of where you are in your life and you just want to make some noise. And I think this is a very much of a first world problem. A lot of people just screaming this at the top of their lungs just because there's no other real problems to deal with.
That's what it is.
And at the end of the day, I mean, where are the feminists when the transgenders wanted to go into the bathrooms of little girls, right?
Interesting, that, isn't it?
And then who's the one that got them out?
Well,
Men.
Men, that's right. And who are they afraid of to molest women or molest children?
And
men.
in women's sports as well.
So who are these NGOs? Who are these charities? Who are these people who are trying to inspire and encourage feminism? If they don't care about women, what are they trying to do? They're trying to destroy society by and large.
Yeah.
Which goes back to the point I was making earlier about female voting. If you're a feminist, you don't listen to your husband's vote. You vote for yourself, and you vote different to your husband because you're independent and you're a feminist, and it doesn't matter what he thinks.
Your husband's
even though
adversary.
he's the one who has to die if we go to war, even though he's the one who goes to work all day and probably works more hours than you, even though he pays more taxes, even though he knows more about the brutal realities of violence and consequence. No, don't listen to your man. You made your own decisions, and your decision comes from Whoopi Goldberg because you saw her on the news, and the news said that Trump's bad, so let's vote against Trump. That's what's happened. These feminists don't give a shit about women. They are deliberately trying to destroy society. And if you want to find out who these people are, look up who started the feminist movement.
And I'd argue, too, that most women don't give a shit about politics either. Outside of maybe abortion rights, I know there's this new thing where people act like they care on TikTok, but outside of like abortion rights, I don't think that women care very much about politics. And I'm saying by and large, of course, there are exceptions to the rules. There are women that are interested, of course, but I don't think it's of female interest by and large.
On the podcast, I'll let everybody do their own research. But then you're going to learn what's really going on.
I need to look at that up.
Look it up. And you'll see that most of these issues, nearly every issue in the world, is a Trojan horse because it's so easy
put my hat
to
down.
wrap up a Trojan horse in such a nice issue. Feminism's perfect, right? We believe in women's rights. Andrew, do you believe in women's rights? Well, yeah. Okay.
Well, then you should allow for abortion. You should allow people to kill their children because you believe in women's rights, right?
Now we're going to let your kid talk to a drag queen. Well, no. I don't believe in that part. They do it all the time. They do it with climate.
Do you hate trans people? Do you want to see trans people die? No. Well, then they should be able to go to the bathroom with your wife and daughter in there. Or you hate them. Whoa. Hey, if me not allowing you to go into the bathroom with my wife and daughter makes it so that you feel like you have to harm yourself, then maybe it's just natural selection. Because that's just a line I'm not willing to let no gentleman in no dress cross.
Climate change. Do you believe in climate change? Well, I don't want the trees to die. Do you want all the fish dead? It's like, well, no. Okay, we're putting up your taxes. So, well, how the fuck is me paying more money to help the fish? Fish don't need money. He ain't got a house. He ain't got rent. I got rent. Why the fuck am I paying the fish's rent? So they take a nice sounding idea and they inject the in the middle so you can't reject it. You can't say I want all the fish dead. I can't sit and say, no, I don't want women to have.
And it's actually evil because empathy is one of the things that makes humanity super unique. We're social creatures, and we're so empathetic that we take care of our elderly and injured and disabled, and that's part of what makes us human almost. I think if we lost that aspect of ourselves, we would be less human. I think we need that aspect, but they weaponize that fact about us. They weaponize the fact that we're empathetic for each other in certain situations and circumstances, and they implement all these things that he's saying. So I think it's genuine evil because you're taking something that's pure and that's of good nature and doing and using that against people. I think that that's horrible to do.
Rights.
But that's the thing. I mean, I'm a woman and I know what rights I have and how much power I have. I know this and I protect it and I'll protect it for everybody. But I won't go and demand things that are unreasonable and that would only vilify our people coexisting with me. You're raising men, you're raising boys, you're marrying husbands.
That's right.
What are you doing? Demonizing them. What are you doing? This is the thing I don't agree with. It's
they're
not
not
so much
doing
about
those
the
things
empowerment
anymore.
of women and giving them power. It's much more about why does your power have to take away from men's power?
Because a person is smart. A woman is smart. But people, women, are stupid. And this is the bottom line of it all. And all of these movements are Trojan horses. Any movement that's not a Trojan horse doesn't gain traction. The climate change scam is deliberately designed to get everybody paying more taxes, afraid to drive a car, and locked in their house. If you say, I don't want to be locked in my house and I don't want to pay more taxes, all of a sudden you want the whales dead. This is what they do. Same with feminism. If you don't
And then
want...
women back it up because women, in order to show that they're more empathetic or in order to appeal to the female hive mind, they have to show that they care about certain things, even if they don't actually care about them. And then they'll make you seem like a bad person because you've actually looked at the details of why this stuff is being pushed. But because you don't appreciate the thing that's being pushed, you're automatically a bad person. Me telling women that they shouldn't be sleeping with random men makes me a misogynist somehow, just because women say so. Just because the hive mind of women say that I'm a misogynist for caring about female purity and their ability to be happy and having a family and getting a man that they love. Caring about those things means that you're a misogynist, and that means that you hate women, of course. And that's just because women said so. So then other women are just going to keep saying that because they want to appeal to that belief structure, because they don't want to be outcasted by other women, because women who don't go along with the grain, other women are brutal to them. Brutal.
On women advocating for open borders, calling for wars they don't have to fight in, and dragging drag queens into children's schools, you don't believe women should have rights. So when you say, no, I don't like feminism because of all this it's delivering, they say, you think women should be raped on the street?
Whoa.
No, clearly not.
Whoa, buddy.
They Trojan horse all of these concepts on purpose. It's very difficult to argue against them.
So this is an example, okay? You find a lot of people protecting, I don't know, a movement, the minority or whatever it is, because they don't want society to judge them and they want to see that they want to seem like they're agreeable and they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings with the softness that we have in society, right? So for example, gay men, a lot of gay men tend to be very loud and obnoxious about their sexual life, very detailed when they're sitting on a dinner table talking about what has been done to them because they, for whatever reason, maybe felt suppressed for so long and all of a sudden they're a bit freer and now they want to talk about it.
No, it's because they freaky as hell. That's why. It's a freak culture. It's a freaky culture, bro. What are we talking about? The whole basis of it is based on sexuality. It's definitely a freaky ass culture. What are we talking about?
On a dinner table, in detail, graphically. I don't subscribe to that. I get very uncomfortable when that happens, but then you'll have 5 other girls giggling and laughing and high-fiving, thinking that it's cute. And I'm just like, I won't sit on a table with women that are talking about, I don't know, what they did last night, what toy they used. I would never 100%. Sit on a table with a woman that's saying that. Do I really need to laugh it off because he's gay? Just to make him feel like it's okay. And I'm not homophobic. I need to laugh it off because I just need to prove that I'm not homophobic. I have loads of gay friends. A lot of them very well respected. They're gay. They don't need to talk like that. They have nothing to prove. And I think this happens time and time again. It's happening with the transgenders in schools. It's happening with, LGBT, all of the whole shebang that's happening. It's all about making people feel like, I'm not racist, I'm not homophobic, I'm not this, I'm not that, so I'm going to be agreeable to everything that's happening.
Well, this is such an interesting point you just made because it ties back into something we mentioned earlier. And I said that when men make points, they make them obnoxiously. And I said the reason I make an obnoxious point is because I'm not afraid to fight the 20 people who disagree with me. So by and large, men are less agreeable because we have the capability to defend our ideas. Women don't. Women are by and large more agreeable because you cannot defend your idea. So this is just a biological trick of life. When a man met an opposing tribe, we got killed or we killed them. That's how it went. So we didn't have to absorb that tribe's ideas. We never even had that option. We had to either fight, we had to fight to the death and either win or lose. Our ideas are ours, their ideas are theirs. Women have never had that predicament because if your man died, you then became the property of another tribe and you now have another language and another culture and you need to change your mind and agree with that one so you can get pregnant and survive. So women have learned and evolved over time to be more agreeable. Also with the fact that women cannot defend an idea. There's a very simple experiment you should look up. They get 10 people in a waiting room for an experiment, but the experiment's actually the waiting room. They think they're waiting for the experiment. And they say, before we go into the experiment, I'm going to hold up this triangle. Can everyone tell me what color it is? And the triangle is blue. And there's 10 people in the room. One of them is the subject. He goes last, and the other 9 are actors. And the first 9 people say green, 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 green. And when it gets to the last person,
He says green.
He says green.
He doesn't believe his own eyes anymore.
That's right, because he's afraid of upsetting the 9 other people in the room.
I've seen this.
Now, all of the women say green. Small men say green. Big men say blue. Why? Because the big man can beat the other 9 men. So physically.
So he thinks, hopefully.
Even though it's about a color and a triangle and your eyes, your physical capability directly reflects how you absorb and combat other people's opinions. And then women are afraid to say, by and large, I don't want to hear that, shut up, because they don't want a man to yell at them because it's intimidating. So they laugh and they giggle. And then the other girl laughs and giggles because the triangle's green.
That's
Everybody
a good
goes
little
along with it,
wraparound. I like
which
that.
ties back into my point earlier
That was
about
fire.
women being empowered deliberately
fire.
so they can be manipulated, deliberately so they will not go against the grain,
Yep.
because women agree with societal norms more than men.
Yep.
So if you tell women,
I've said that, putting women in positions of power so that it's easier to control them through fear. Said
we
that
need to
before.
let the drag queens
believe
talk to
that's
the
true.
children, or you're homophobic. This woman agrees. This woman agrees. The news agrees. TV agrees. Why wouldn't you agree with that? Most women will go, well, okay, I guess, because they're afraid. That is why they want women to have the vote. This is why they want women in charge of society. This is why they want to live in a matriarchy, because the people who are behind the matriarchy, who are men, understand that having a bunch of women in charge of everything make it easy to psyop them and control everybody.
Now, you see the biggest powerhouses in the world controlled. Every head of state is controlled men. What would happen if they're women?
Well-
It's another situation.
Well, people say this. Like I've heard what feminists say, all men go to war all the time. If women were in charge of everything, women wouldn't go to war, which is probably the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I've never even seen,
Female leaders have higher rates of going to war, by the way. So that's just not true. You can look that up on Google. Female leaders throughout history have higher rates of going to war. Actually, women might empathize a little less with men. Now, of course, they empathize heavily with men that they love and fathers and brothers and all of those things. But I think on a mass scale, when you're talking about a woman, talking about a regular guy that she sees on the streets, I think that women empathize less with men than men do with women. And so when it comes down to war, it's like, yeah, why not?
fact. Women argue just fine. Women argue all of the time. The actual real interesting thing about that is I remember when Kamala was running against Trump, and I was talking to a feminist, and she said that people don't want Kamala because she's a woman. And I said, yeah, true. And she said, why? You don't think a woman's smart enough? And I said, well, she's not. Kamala's an idiot. But primarily, actually, the fact that you've said people don't want her because she's a woman, because people are misogynistic, proves that she shouldn't be president. Because do you think that the male presidents of other nations are going to respect her? Do you think MBS is going to respect her? Do you think Putin is going to respect her? Do you think Xi is going to respect her? You saying that people aren't voting for her because she's a woman and men don't respect women is actually proof why she shouldn't be in charge in the first place, because no other masculine leader is going to respect her, especially her because she's a dummy. At least
And I've never understood the idea of having a female leader is going to change anything, because all of the structures are still going to be having to be operated by men. The wars are still going to have to be fought by men. So how having a female leader, how is having a female leader making anything different? This whole idea of the matriarchy is just la la land. There is no it's impossible to have a matriarchy. And Andrew Wilson has made this argument time and time again, and he's done it very well. It's the force doctrine argument. Women have to appeal to men to use their force to get the things that they want. Outside of that, men can take things at will from women if they want to, but they generally speaking choose not to. In fact, we're so empathetic and soft on women, especially in the Western world, that we don't even use capital punishment for female negative behavior. We use social shame. So even if you look at like crime statistics and like people being locked up, women get 60% less time for the same crimes, and they're less likely to go to jail and more likely to get like probation for the same crimes that men commit, because we typically don't punish women with capital punishment. Something extremely damaging like paternity fraud, where a man is convinced that a child is his for 16 years, so he uses 16 years of his life and hard work and labor to provide for this kid, and then he finds out it isn't his. How are women punished for this behavior? Ruining a man's career that he's worked his entire life to build because you wanted to make false allegations. How is she punished? We've gotten to the point where women can damn near hit men without even fear of men retaliating with physical violence. Because in the Western world, we hardly ever give women any type of capital punishment. It's almost always like a soft slap on the wrist or social shame. And that's why when you hear women talking about things like being hoes and being able to do all these different things, the first thing they say is, let's normalize this, or we have to stop shame, because that's their typical punishment for negative behavior.
Thatcher was more man than most men.
I think
know?
the time will come. I mean, this is how it should be. I think women because we always say there's the exception, and there's a reason why there's mostly men in these positions. It's because they want those positions,
of course,
and women don't want them.
Of course.
So it's not because we're not giving it to them. Most women do not want to be in that game of politics, of high power jobs. They want to raise families. They want to have a balanced life, and you cannot have a balanced life if you're in that situation. So
it's stressful.
It's stressful, and it's fine to say, I really don't want it. Like, it's fine. I mean, I'm happy to just have my business. I'm happy to do this, and I'm enjoying life and building and growing. But that is too demanding for me as a woman with everything I want to do in my life, and that's okay. And I think most of these feminist women that are fighting for these seats are people that don't want the seats in the first place.
They just want to try and prove a point.
They want to prove a point. Exactly.
I want to ask a question to you because I want to hear what you say about it, because I've talked about this female leader thing quite a lot, and I said I would never like to live in a country with a female leader. And the reason I said that is because I believe men are braver than women. By and large, men are braver. And if you're going to be the leader of a country, you need to stand up against shadow cabals, which are truly trying to influence things and influence the government. And you have to be very brave to stand up against them. And if you're not brave, you're going to end up doing as they want. They tried to kill Trump twice. They tried to shoot him twice. He didn't bend. He didn't break. He didn't quit. And he didn't do what they wanted. What would a woman have done if they shot her?
So I think Trump is an exception.
Yeah, Trump's Trump. Of course.
Trump's Trump. Okay. I think if it was Biden, it would have been the same thing. I don't agree in the sense that I don't want a woman to lead. I'd be happy, but I would not pick a woman because she's a woman, because I'm a woman to lead.
Smart.
It will have to be for good reason.
Yeah.
I don't care about your gender. If you're not qualified, I'm not voting for you, regardless of whether I'm a woman or not. So that's on one thing. On the other end of things, I think that you will have people speaking and building and creating the whole system with you. Even if she's sitting as a woman president, and we know this with the men presidents, they're sitting in that chair, but most of the time,
There's
hundreds of
women all around
people
them,
are
of course.
making decisions with you. So I don't care if that's a woman in the seat. I don't think that I'm in jeopardy or not safe because a woman is sitting there, because surely she has a team making decisions with her.
I agree.
That doesn't hurt. It's just a matter of pick wisely, not based on the gender, but based on who's qualified. And I think most people, the masses, are so biased that they pick based on religion, based on race, based on color, based on gender, and not based on qualifications.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. I'll leave a link in the description to the full interview. This has been a good one so far, so I imagine it's going to continue to be good. But there's like an hour and 30 minutes left of this conversation. I'll probably use like 40 minutes of it, and there's a lot more. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or L, and give me the HBO special as a help without special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.